Church, thank you for joining us. We exist to be a safe place to find and follow Jesus. If you're new to Life Church and have never filled out a connection card before, click the link below and we'll send you a small gift to your email this week. Now, we would like for you to share the stream so all your friends and family are able to join us. Now let's worship.
Good morning, Life Church. We're so happy you joined us. I pray that through these songs, you can be impacted, you can be moved. Sing with us. When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, no, I won't be shaken, no, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Shame no longer has a place to hide. Yeah. I am not a captive to the lies. I'm not afraid to leave my past behind. No, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Oh, yeah. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out the grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. Power in your name. Yeah. There's power that can break off every chain. Break every chain. There's power that can empty out the grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. Power in your name. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Yeah, yeah. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. I'm standing in your love. I'm standing in your love.
When we stand in His love, we stand with the one who never falls. In life, we can slip and we can fall, but even when we do, our hope has a firm place to stand because we stand in Jesus, the one who could not be defeated by death, hell, or the grave, the one who is forever victorious, the one who always gives hope, the one who died and yet still brought hope back to life. We rely and we rest in Him, and He keeps our hope alive even in the darkest times. Yeah, we give you praise. Days may be darkest, but your light is greater. You light our way, God, you light our way. When evil is rising, you're rising higher with power to save, with power to save. Oh yes, and you keep hope alive. You keep hope alive from the beginning to end. Your word never fails. You keep hope alive because you are alive. Jesus, you are alive. Death had a stronghold, but your life was stronger. Rose from the grave, rose up from the grave. Oh yeah. When evil is rising, you're rising higher with power to save, with power to save. Oh yeah, yeah. You keep hope alive. You keep hope alive from the beginning to end. Your word never fails. You keep hope alive because you are alive. Jesus, you are alive. There's hope in the morning, hope in the evening. There's hope because you're living, hope because you're breathing. There's hope in the breaking. There's hope in the sorrow, hope for this moment, my hope for tomorrow. There's hope in the morning. There's hope in the evening. There's hope because you're living. There's hope because you're breathing. There's hope in the breaking. There's hope in the sorrow. There's hope for this moment, my hope for tomorrow. You keep hope alive. You keep hope alive from the beginning to end. Your word never fails. You keep hope alive because you are alive. Jesus, you are alive. You keep hope alive. You keep hope alive from the beginning to end. Your word never fails. You keep hope alive because you are alive. Jesus, you are alive. You keep hope alive. You keep hope alive from the beginning to end. Your word never fails. You keep hope alive because you are alive. Jesus, you are alive. Father, we're so thankful that when the world seems upside down, you have overcome the world. When chaos seems to reign supreme, we know that this is still your kingdom, and we rest in our King. We trust in your goodness and your love. When the world does not seem good, when pandemics rage, when chaos is abundant, we know that you are God and you are love. And we trust in that love. In Jesus' name, we give you praise. Amen.
Worship is always such a great reminder that our hope is found in Jesus. Your generosity makes a difference, not only at Life Church, but in our community and around the world. We have a few very easy ways for you to give. You can go to lifechurchhw.com, text any amount to 84321, or you can simply click the link below. Thank you for your generosity. Life Church is hosting a food drive this Friday from 10 to 1 at Water Spring Elementary. We would like to be a blessing to so many in our community that are struggling right now. We are needing items such as rice, beans, pasta, canned goods, breakfast items, peanut butter, and snacks. Bring all you can and help us make a difference. Pastor Brandt will be talking about this a little more in just a few minutes. Now let's join my amazing dad as he talks about living a life of faith.
When did we forget how to love? Did it happen suddenly? Or was it a gradual decline? When did we forget the very foundation of the gospel? For God so loved. Love is what moved God to action. Love is what held Jesus to the cross. Love is what rolled away the stone. But we've forgotten that part. Without love, we are simply a resounding gong, a clanging cymbal, a bunch of noise. Without love, we are nothing. Is that what people see in us? Meaningless? Empty noise? Love is supposed to be patient and kind, gentle, not angry or arrogant. Yet in our effort to stand on truth, we have forgotten the very thing these truths are based on. Love. Never once did Jesus fail in this. Not in his heartbreak or his anger. Not in his joy or his betrayal. His default has always been love. Maybe it's time the church was more like Jesus.
Well, good morning, Life Church. Hasn't it been a great morning already? And the worship, as always, is incredible. And I am so thankful for all those that serve in our worship ministry and the time that they put in. So I'd like to say thank you to each one of you for your hearts and your dedication. So yeah, Life Church, it has been a great morning. But I'm excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Last week, we talked about living in the love of God and how love isn't really love unless it is love in action. Today we're going to be looking at a story in the Bible where Jesus shows us what faith in action looks like. We're going to be talking really about what it looks like living a life of faith. Again, the same principles apply with faith as it does with love. We can say we have faith, but if our faith isn't put into practice, then all it is nothing more than just words. And what is pretty amazing is how we're going to see how the faith of a little boy turned into an extravagant display of love. And let's read this story. You're probably maybe a little familiar with this story. So we're going to be in John chapter 6 this morning. So why don't you open your Bibles there in your on your iPads, your phones, and follow along with us here. Starting in verse number 1, and I believe we can learn quite a bit about faith this morning from this portion of Scripture right here, from this story. It says in verse number 1, it says, "After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat? He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each of them to even get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many? It just seemed really hopeless. But Jesus said, Have the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. We know with women and children, there's probably close to 20,000 people here in total. Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost. So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. Wow, what an incredible story of incredible faith here. And what incredible faith from this little boy. But what is faith, though? It's a word that is talked about a whole lot around church, or if you've been to church, we talk about being people of faith, or I have faith, or that word is thrown around a whole lot, isn't it? But what is faith? A dictionary definition of faith is a complete trust or confidence in someone or something. But Paul, one of the writers, one of the apostles there in Scripture gives us in Hebrews chapter 11, gives us a definition of faith. He says in Hebrews 11:1 says, Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the convictions of things not seen. In Hebrews 11:6, he goes on even further, just a few more verses down, and says, you know what? Without faith, it is impossible to please Him, to please God. We are to be people of faith. It is more than just words that we say, because faith is the evidence that this thing is real. Faith, and without faith and without living a life of faith, it is impossible to please God. So we have here in this story a couple things I really want to focus on for just the next few moments. I want us to focus on the need. The need here, the need was very, very great. It said in verse number 5, said, lifting up his eyes, talking about Jesus, lifting up his eyes then and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him. This area where they were, him and his disciples, they look up and they see this great number of people. Like we said, where a lot of biblical scholars think could really have been up to 20,000 people coming towards them. The need far outweighed what Jesus and his disciples could take care of with what they had in hand. It was going to take a miracle to provide for this crowd. Jesus, though, just like so many other times, was moved with compassion for the people, and he was not going to just send the people away hungry. He was going to make sure that they had food to eat. He was going to take care of their need. He was going to step into the need that was right before him, that was presented to him. And his disciples and those there were going to learn a whole lot about what faith really is. Jesus said to Philip, Jesus said to Philip here, where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat? He said this to test him, Jesus did. There in verse number 6, for he himself knew what he would do. Here's the thing for us to always remember. Jesus always has the way of provision in mind. Jesus always knows how he is going to fulfill that need and take care of the need that is presented. And as we walk back through that again in verse number 7, Philip answered him, well, all we have is 200 denarii worth of, and 200 denarii worth of bread isn't going to be enough, isn't going to be near enough to take care of the need. So this seemed like a very desperate, hopeless situation, doesn't it? You have all these people, there's a big need, they're hungry, they need to be fed, and all that the disciples and Jesus have there are 200 denarii. Not near enough, not even a fraction of what it would cost to feed this amount of people. So on the surface, it seemed like a desperate situation with no hope for the situation. Jesus was about to teach the disciples, this crowd, and a little boy, and even us today, that when we can't see the provision, when we realize that when we have to turn to Him, when we realize that He is the only way, that we are right where He wants us to be. To come to the point of having to live by faith. This was a big step of faith that had to be taken in order for the need to be met. The situation demanded a big solution that only faith in a big God could handle. Let me ask you this question for you to ponder. Are you really living a life of faith if you can figure out the solution to your problems, to the things in life, to the things that are presented to you, to the needs that are presented to you? If you can figure out the solution on your own? Is that really living a life of faith when you can take care of the solution yourself? If the disciples had all the natural resources in the world available to them to meet the need on this day, then they, in turn, us, would have missed out on learning what faith is really all about and what faith can really do. So the need was great. Man, the need was huge. But here's the thing. Let's focus on the solution now. What amazes me about this story is that Jesus could have just spoken the word. And all the needs could have been taken care of just by Him speaking it. Jesus is the one, the Bible teaches, that spoke the world into creation. He didn't need anything else. He didn't need anything else for all of creation to exist besides just His word, for Him to say it. And Jesus could have just simply in this moment just spoken the word, and all of a sudden all the need to be taken care of. But He instead, in this instance, and again today, in our lives, chooses to let us in on what He does. What was available? Of course, we already talked about, you had the 200 denarii, and they were like, man, this isn't enough. Well, what is that going to do? And then Andrew came to Jesus and brought this little boy, said, well, this little boy's got 5 loaves and 2 fishes. The disciples, though, kind of dismissed that as well, dismissed this boy and the little that he had. But they were about to learn that Jesus specializes in taking little and making it much. This little boy showed more faith than these grown men. And this boy at a young age knew what it was to live open-handed with what he was blessed with what he had, the little that he had. If we as followers of Jesus would just understand that what may seem is insignificant to us is perfect in the hands of Jesus. The simple faith of this boy giving the little he had to Jesus turned into one of the greatest miracles, I believe, that He performed. Where the disciples and we in turn get this thing of living by faith messed up is we look for the big things and overlook the small things. What this boy had seemed small, what this boy had seemed small, but in the hands of Jesus was more than enough. Pretty amazing. You know what holds back the blessing of God? The miracle working hand of God in our lives? It's a lack of faith on our part to release the little that we have in our hands. Maybe you've never seen God work a miracle because you've never trusted Him with the small things, the things that just seem insignificant to you. You think, what can God do with so little, so I'll just hold on to what I have. In this instance, Jesus knew what the provision was going to be. He knew the miracle He was going to perform. He knew the miracle he was going to perform to take care of the needs of the people. He was just waiting to see who was going to step up. Who was going to be the recipient of that blessing and have the faith to be part of what He was going to do. And it ended up being the faith of a little boy. There's nothing like the faith of a child, is it? The trust that they have. I was reminded of this just yesterday. Stacy and I and Molly went to a water park. And there was one time where Stacy and I were in the pool, one of the pools there, and Molly had just done this rope thing, and she immediately, when she got off, she turned around, and then she just, without thinking about it, just jumped into the pool, expecting Daddy to catch her. Now, thankfully I did. Bad shoulder and all still right now. I mean, thankfully I caught, but she just has this unreserved trust, this faith that Daddy was going to catch her. You know, there's just something about that innocence of a child and the faith that they have. It is a pure, Jesus told us on another occasion that it is the simple faith of a child that is needed in order to enter His kingdom. It is a pure, innocent, unreserved faith that a child has. And that is the kind of faith that moves the heart of God. It's just that, man, I'm just going to trust. I don't know how, but I'm just trusting that Daddy's going to catch me. And that's the same kind of faith that we have to have in God, knowing that, you know what, He's big enough to catch us. He's big enough to take care. He's big enough to supply for the need when we can't see it. See the way. In this story today, it was the faith of a little child that the little he had could be made much more in the hands of Jesus that made all the difference. See, the central figure in this story, a lot of times we look at the boy, but and think of, boy, the faith of this little boy. But still the central figure in this story isn't the boy, it is Jesus. Faith in anything other than Jesus isn't faith at all. You know, faith has to have the proper object. If that boy, when it was Andrew who went and got the boy and said, all he's got is 5 loaves and 2 fishes. If that boy had put his faith in Andrew to do something great with the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, he would have come up sorely disappointed. But in the hands of Jesus there, but the faith that he had in giving it to Jesus, that faith in the proper one, was in the one who could multiply the provision. In Jesus' hands, anything is possible. Not only did the people eat, but there was even leftovers. And Jesus told the disciples to go out and gather everything left over. Don't waste any part of my provision. Don't waste anything. You know what I would say faith is? Faith is resting in and trusting the love of God for your life. It is easy to have faith in action when you know you can trust His love for you and for me. We talk about that all the time, about what love is and about what we can truly love God because we know that He has our best interest at heart in every situation at all times. And that's the same thing with faith right here, is that it's easy to step out in faith whenever we're presumed, when we don't know what's going to hold us, when we don't know what the next step is, when we can trust in His love, when we can trust what His heart for us. Then it's easy to step out when we know what it is, when we know His love for us. And whenever we're living in that love, it then makes it easy to step out in faith and make that faith action in our life. Make it tangible and real. Faith, and in this instance, there was a big need, right? Jesus, His disciples, they saw the need, and Jesus, they were moved for the need, and then stepped into that need because He couldn't do anything else but to take care, because He loved people so much. And that's really what faith really is. It is more than just the knowledge. It's more than just knowing what the word, but it is stepping in, stepping out, putting it in action. Faith, love, and action. Well, church, this lesson today really is kind of really born out of a huge need that was brought to me a little over a week ago now. We have learned just over the last several days that there are over 150 families in our community and within our church's reach that need food. And there is no doubt in my mind that that's just the tip of the iceberg for what the need really is. Especially in these times right now, in these times of uncertainty all around us. It started out about a week ago that we found out there were 30 to 40 families, and then overnight it turned into 80 families, and then it was no time where it turned into 150. But feeding 150 families, that's something bigger than what we can do. Bigger than what we as Life Church can take care of just on our own, based upon the means and the resources that we have in front of us. To step into this need requires faith and requires each of us to step up, just like that little boy with the little he had, and see Jesus bless and provide even bigger than we can ever imagine. You might have noticed on Facebook over the last couple of days that and Hannah talked about it in the announcements, that we're going to be hosting a food drive this coming Friday morning at Water Spring Elementary from 10 to 1. And we're also going to be at Walmart on Saturday morning in Hamlin from 10 to 2 as well. We're going to have a spot where we're going to be asking people in our community to help us with this, to help step into the need that is so great. We not only need you to step up and donate food and be a blessing to others, but also we're going to need help on the collection end, help on that, the organization of it, and then on the distribution end. This is a huge need. And we were just putting down figures and looking at this and seeing what it would cost to just, get a decent bag of groceries and put it out. It is a large number. But you know what we can do? We don't know how God's going to move and how God's going to do this, but I have no doubt that God's going to provide. Because we're going to step out, and when I was presented with this, I'm like, how do we turn away? The very first thing that came to my mind is the story, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And with that Good Samaritan, he saw the guy that was helpless and hurt on the side of the road, and to where the religious man and others passed by. But it was a Samaritan and the outcast that saw the one that was hurting and broken, that stepped into the need that was presented to him. And that's how I feel as a church, as leading Life Church. That when a need is presented to us, how can we just walk past by like others? So church, this is a huge thing. This is a big step for us. To step out and to try to make a difference in our community in this way. To make sure that people have food on their tables. So I'm asking you to sacrifice, to step up, to be a part of this, to bring food. If you can't bring it Friday morning, you can bring it by my house anytime this week. Just stop it by, and we will get that in the proper place, the food, so that we can get stuff sorted and distributed. Just a couple days ago, we were able to, in cooperation with Water Spring, they donated all the food that they had in their pantry to us for this, and it was enough to feed 11 families. And we got that distributed here just on Thursday morning. So church, this is a huge thing. Let's put our faith into action. Let's be more than just church that comes together on a Sunday morning or watches the message, sings the songs, but let's be a church that is about action and about stepping into the needs of the community. Because the story today with the feeding of the 5,000, that is a miraculous thing. How God specializes in taking little and makes much. I can't wait to see how God takes our little and makes much. Our God knows the provision. We may not, but He does. Let's step into this. Let's follow by faith, and let's see what God does. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be miraculous. And it's going to be an amazing thing. And we know that there are people that watch us each and every week online that don't live in this area. And maybe you'd like to be involved as well. Well, you can give. You can give monetarily to help us with this. And you can go to lifechurchhw.com and you can give. And you can give to the COVID Relief Fund. And through that, we will make sure that people have the food that they need in this time in our community. So church, let's put faith into action and see God take the little that we have and do something huge. The need is great, but the solution to the need is Jesus, and He is greater. So guys, thank you. Thank you. I already can thank you for what you are going to do, because I have no doubt you're going to step up into this, just like I'm going to with you. Life Church, I love you. Let's be people of faith. This week, not only with this, but look to love others just like Jesus did. Put your faith into action. Don't let your love and your faith and all this just to be words, but let's make it tangible and real. Let's live this thing out. Let's live out the examples that Jesus gave to us. Life Church, I love you, and we will see you soon.